I'm Senna Leith. I'm a professional snowboarder on the US Snowboard team, as well as an athlete for HealthworxCBD, and here's some Q&A for you. How far out do you start prepping for the upcoming season? Well, we're kind of always in this preparation stage, but really in May is when you relax a little bit after the long season, but it doesn't last very long because you're always trying to set your sights on what you want to do, the goals you want to accomplish, so that preparation starts pretty quick once the season is over. Once it gets towards the fall is when it really kicks into high gear as you're coming up on the first competitions of the year though. What steps do you take to work up to competition shape beginning to end? Well, I always try to stay in that competition shape because the more you're in that competition shape, the more comfortable you are in that mindset, and the more comfortable you are in that mindset, the better you're going to perform. So yeah, just always staying regimented with your training schedule, whether that's on hill, on the snow, or in the gym, or making sure your nutrition's on point and keeping your mental state as healthy as can be. That's really crucial. They say we are what we eat. What are your thoughts on the types of fuel that you put into the machine? Are there specific food groups that are better than others? Well, for me personally, I kind of eat like a pig because I'm one of the smaller guys on the World Cup tour, so I'm always trying to gain weight because the more you weigh, the faster you're going to go sometimes, as long as you know how to use that weight. But yeah, I just make sure I have a really balanced diet, try to get all the different food groups in there. I really try to focus on getting my vegetables in because sometimes when you're traveling a lot, it's hard to always make sure that you're eating vegetables. And also make sure I'm limiting my sweets. I have a sweet tooth and sometimes I can let it get the best of me. So limiting my sweets and then just making sure I'm eating a broad variety of healthy foods, mixing it up with my proteins, mixing it up with my carbs, fruits, veggies, just making sure I'm feeling good. The better you eat, the better you feel, and the better you feel, the better you're going to perform. What other sports do you engage in to prepare for the season? I love all sports. I love mountain biking, even though I have wrecked myself pretty solid a couple times doing it, but it's a great off-season sport for us because we're always having to read the terrain in front of us, which translates over to snowboarding because in snowboarding you're always trying to read the terrain that's in front of you, and it's a great cardio workout. So mountain biking is probably like my number one sport that I love in the off-season. I love hiking. I love playing anything at the park with my friends. I'm not very good at any of the ball sports, but I'll try. Mind over matter. On the days that you just don't feel like it, how do you self-motivate to break through that feeling and get back on track? That is a really good question. It's not always that easy. I know one of the main things that I do is I have some notes that I read on my phone, little sayings that kind of always remind me who I am, what I want to do, what my vision is, my purpose. Because sometimes when you're on the road and you have these stresses and it's all weighing down on you, it's easy to lose track of your passions and your visions. So always reminding myself what I'm here for, the reasons I started this all in the first place, and just the general things that I want to achieve in my life usually gets me pretty fired up to go out there and get in the right headspace. How do you balance the high that comes with success versus the agony of defeat? That is another really good question. It's tough sometimes, because you have these days where you're on top of the world and you're like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And then you have these days where you're like, what am I doing? Like, that was so frustrating, and it's really easy to get down. I try to make the good days last as long as possible and use the bad days as learning experiences. I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason, so when things don't go your way, try to take something positive from it and just keep moving forward. That's the key to it all. What importance do you place on your team, and how do they aid in your performance and success? The team support is huge. Not only just my coaches, which are constantly eyeing things in my riding to make me better on like a fundamental aspect, but also the family that you have within a team with your coaches and with your physical therapists and with your teammates especially, because your teammates are pretty much like your siblings. You live with them all year long, you're constantly traveling with them, and they can be your biggest competitors and also your biggest supporters. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and we all lean on each other. Sometimes you have off days and you rely on your teammate to pick you up, and they do the same with you. So the team aspect is a huge part of what allows me to succeed, and I'm really lucky to have a team that is like family. Obviously, good health is directly connected to better performance. What steps do you take to ensure that you stay in peak health? Staying in peak health is super hard sometimes, especially when you're on the road for most of the year and you don't always have access to great gyms. But a huge part for me is foam rolling and stretching every single day, focusing on that daily body maintenance to make sure that my body is prepared for whatever the next day may bring, as well as utilizing any gym that you have access to or making do with what you have where you are. Sometimes you might only have a couple weights and you have to improvise and do a little bit of a ghetto workout, but you gotta do what you gotta do in order to stay fit. And another huge part is maintaining a regimented schedule with vitamins and such. Every morning I take the same series of vitamins as well as CBD to start my day, and once you get that schedule down, it's easier to maintain, and when you maintain that, you just feel better moving forward. How do you use CBD in your life as an athlete? I use CBD in a variety of ways throughout my daily life. Full spectrum CBD oil every single morning at breakfast with my vitamins. That's a huge part of my daily routine. And I use the CBD oil a lot when I'm traveling as well. You know, throughout my career, I experienced lots of stresses and anxiety, whether that's from a crazy travel day and that stress is related to travel, or whether that stress is related to my career, competitions, training. You know, being able to use CBD to take that edge off is a really big help sometimes. And also CBD topicals are pretty big in my daily routine. The sport of snowboard cross can be really aggressive on the body. Every day we're pushing our limits and we can take a beating, you know, whether it's hard landings or just straight up muscle fatigue. And being able to use, for example, the Muscle Freeze, which is like one of my favorite products, using the Muscle Freeze on my quads after a really long day when they're totally shot, or if I had some rough landings, put some of it on my ankles or my heels. You know, it's a really big help in managing my body and making sure that I'm always ready for peak performance. Well, there you go. Hopefully you learned something about me and how I operate as a professional athlete, and maybe you'll be able to take something from that into your own lives as well. So yeah, thanks for watching.